Good morning, everyone. Kris here with Inspired Energy, joining me again this Wednesday morning, Hartwell. Good morning.
Good morning, Kris. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, so everybody would love to know what we're talking about today. So you've decided that we're going to dive back into some of the basics, and we're going
Yeah.
to start with the generator, apparently. So, why are you starting with generators?
Well, because generators rule the world, right? Well, in terms of numbers,
Are
anyway.
there slaves?
Well, you generators, me being talking to Kris here,
Mhm.
maybe a lot of our listeners, 70% of the world. And you have the most, you're easy to identify by looking at the body graph because the sacral center is defined. If that's defined, you're a generator.
Mhm.
And the reason we're reviewing some of these things is because I know for myself that we need to hear some of these same things again, recontextualize it, maybe add in things that we're learning from our experience so that we can share it, and just think about it again. And something maybe different resonates.
Mhm.
So that's why we're doing this. Um,
So, So how are they defined? Like what makes a generator with the sacral center being defined, right? So I think that one of the things that um, I noticed being a generator, and you've told me, is that fact that we replenish our energy. Like if you have a child who's a generator, you want to wear them out so they sleep well, right?
yes, don't send them to bed thinking they're going to settle down after they get into their bedroom.
No,
um, give
and if
them the chance to, it's like when I was a kid, it was like my family used to say, go play in busy traffic.
mm-hmm.
um, Even though it's like, I don't know how they came up with that because I lived in the country, but
Just
um,
a saying they add.
yeah, yeah. But go out and run out, get the energy out, go and play yourself out. So
Mm-hmm.
that's key. And that doesn't go away just because you're an adult.
Yeah, no, that's one of the big keys that I've taken away, when I was not sleeping and all of those things. And then when I go back to the gym and I start doing things and I'm active and I'm, on my feet all day and stuff, then I'm tired. And then I'm like, oh, why am I so tired? I can't stay awake. But I mean, that's what it is. Whereas when you're just mentally taxed all day, it's not the same.
No,
Yeah.
no. Um, yeah, so that's one tip for generators.
Mhm.
Um, another thing is that generators are about being in response because they have an energy field that's broad and big and powerful and it pulls things to them. So
Mhm.
the basic strategy for a generator is to respond. Um, what that means is you trust that life will come to you and you trust that your own design knows what is right for you. And so
Mhm.
rather than trying to make something happen, you let life show you what it is you're supposed to be
Mhm.
involved with.
So
Does that
then
make
you
sense?
want to develop your powers of discernment as to what is in alignment for you and what is not. I would think with a generator that would be important.
Yes. Well, I mean, as you know, I think discernment applies across the board.
Mhm.
Discernment begins with awareness. Are you aware of your own energy and
Mhm.
how it responds to the world around you?
Mhm.
Like one of the things that human design says is that generators like yes or no questions.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I mean, I find this when I'm doing tarot. It's like so many of my clients want to ask a yes or no question. And
Mhm.
I mean, often I don't let them.
Mhm.
But I mean, I'm trying to rethink that and think if there might be a better way. But because quite a few of them would be generators, right?
Mhm.
And I mean, one of the suggestions in the human design community is that if there is something you really want to understand, or if you want the answer to something that you are wrestling with in your life and you're a generator, then ask friends of yours to ask you a
Mm-hmm.
series of questions that are yes and no,
Mm-hmm.
yes or no. And what this does potentially is you're not coming up with a question anymore. So the other person's coming up with a question, and all you have to do is listen and be aware of your own system. And then if you can, in a sense, reestablish that connection, the basic generator energy, then you start to recognize, oh, this is how my energy is responding, and it
Mm-hmm.
can help you kickstart that kind of response that generators do have.
Yeah. You mean what I've been doing the whole time we're talking? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we actually conducted an experiment
Mm-hmm.
a while back where I asked several generators I knew. I sat down with them with a list of questions. You were one of them, and other colleagues we worked with.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't seem on the surface of things to be that useful for you, did it? Or did it? I mean, you know.
Well, it depends on it. I mean, I think the questions have to be of interest, and each person's interests are different, right? So I think that would skew whatever you're doing if you're asking the same questions to the same people. They're not going to respond the same.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I was thinking maybe it would be a good experiment to just have the generator come up with their own questions about something they're working with,
Hmm.
and hand it over to somebody to ask them, and
Yeah.
then to have you feel out how that is.
That would probably work better.
In some ways, it's like muscle testing,
Hmm.
kinesiology. Many of us know about that kind of the weak strong response. It's
Hmm.
like you say something and the body tests weak, you say something and the body tests strong.
Hmm.
Generators are just naturally like that. I know
Yeah.
at least I know at least one generator who loves to use her pendulum.
Hmm.
And I mean, she in a sense could do that for herself if she kind of I mean, she is doing it for herself with her
Yeah.
pendulum, but
But I
um
think if you trust yourself and your energy, like I feel things like right away. Yeah, no, like it. If you're a generator and you're truly in tune, I think that you can trust yourself to know whether something feels right or doesn't, right?
yes, absolutely. So do you feel then that you are mostly living in alignment these days? Is
Well,
that is
I think also accepting what your design is and understanding that being able to feel that way isn't, to my detriment, like, and understanding that blank or that void, unless people are around me to pull stuff out of me, right? I mean, that's a big thing because I used to go, oh, now what? Like I'd be sitting there going, oh, okay. But when I'm around people, it's just like somebody says something and I can respond and respond and respond and respond. So I'm quite in tune with that part of it and
Mhm.
understand. Hmm. And then it
Yeah.
becomes, do I respond or do I not respond? Right. That's the one, the discernment piece about, who is yours and what is yours to respond to. That's still a work in progress.
Well, remember, a no is a response,
Hmm.
right? So, I mean, um, it's not about whether you respond or not. It's about whether your body responds with a yes or a no.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, what talking to you brings out for all of us is that we all have to figure this out for ourselves.
Hmm.
It's like human design isn't handing us something on a silver platter and saying, "Okay, you're good to go," because
Hmm.
you have to figure out how it lands in you.
Yeah.
um, so it's very much a do-it-yourself system, even though there is a strong how. suggested for, for the strategies and for the inner authorities.
I think
So,
there's such an understanding that comes from human design, though, too. Like, I know for myself, the we talk about this all the time, and I laugh, the quad right thing, you
mm,
know, and how I viewed myself very differently until I learned that about myself. And so that was like a really big shift. Or, understanding things like the Venus sequence and things like that. Those things were like eye opening and changing, not
mm,
even just the basic design when you start really diving in and going deeper, and you have
yeah,
these epiphanies about yourself. Oh, that's why I'm like that when, somebody betrays me, or, you know, things like that
right.
are really, valuable nuggets, I think.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And it does unfold. Yeah, it's sort of, yeah, it goes in stages, if you would.
Hmm.
And I mean, I think it's also useful to recognize how other people see you.
Hmm.
Like as a projector, when I'm around generators, I get energized, and I have because I'm amplifying an undefined center for myself.
Hmm.
So a lot of projectors are trying to be generators because we get amped up on the energy and we want to be productive, and we try and be productive, and we can be productive, but that's because we're amplifying somebody else's energy. We're not actually designed that way.
Hmm.
So unaware and not self projectors will often trick themselves into thinking they're a generator when they're not.
Hmm.
You know,
And what are the consequences of that?
eventual burnout,
Hmm.
and of course not being aligned. So remember the projectors, misaligned generators get very bitter.
Hmm.
Misaligned generators get frustrated.
Hmm.
And that's why one of their experiences in life is that they see themselves often as being enslaved to the man, to the
Yeah.
system,
Yeah.
because they've entered into some sort of job where they are being very productive, but they're not being productive in a way that's aligned with them. And so they
Hmm.
just feel like they're like a hamster on a wheel, not getting anywhere. So, and then they're
Yeah.
slave to the system, because once you've said yes to something that's wrong for you, you can't get out of it automatically.
Hmm.
You know, it takes a while to
Hmm.
realign. So that's something every generator needs to think about too, is this sense of, oh my god, hook me up to, it feels like I'm hooked up and giving blood every day. I'm just giving my lifeblood into this organization, and I'm frustrated by it. I mean, manifestors probably look at a generator and say, wow, she's got a lot of energy. How does she keep going like that? Because manifestors don't have the same level of energy, even though they have the ability to initiate. So sometimes it's useful to understand and think about it from the perspective of, oh, I wonder how other people view me. It's like, I couldn't live my life the way you do, Kris. I'm, just as an example. Oh, what happened? Where are you, Kris? That's weird. Something's happened, folks, and I don't even know if the show is continuing. All right, bye, everyone.